in the gravitational force field, where there is g in the downward direction, ay is minus g, is downwards, acceleration in the y direction is g, and a particle is launched with a velocity u at an angle theta. There is no acceleration in the x direction. There is no acceleration in the x direction. The initial horizontal velocity is u cos theta. The initial vertical velocity is u sin theta. Right? The particle takes up a certain trajectory. T seconds later, the particle was at p x comma y. T seconds later, the particle was at p x comma y. What transpires then is there is no acceleration in the x direction. There is no acceleration in the x direction. Let me bring this point here. There is no acceleration in the x direction. That means velocity in the x direction remains constant for such a motion. Velocity in the x direction will remain constant because there is no acceleration in the x direction. So at p, when the particle is at some point p, the velocity in the x direction remains u cos theta. The velocity in the y direction would be initial velocity in the y direction plus ay into t at the point p, right? Velocity in the y direction is initial vertical velocity, which is u sin theta, and ay will be minus g, isn't it? Because it's downward, ay will be minus g. That's the velocity in the y direction as a function of time. The net velocity at p, this is the net velocity at p, that's going to be root vy squared plus ux squared, right? That's the net velocity, and it will make an angle theta with the, let's say at an angle alpha with the horizontal, such that tan alpha is going to be vy by ux. Ux is the same as, ux will remain same at all instants of time, right? Yes or no? So such would be, and do you realize that the net velocity at p would be always along the tangent to the trajectory at p? The net velocity at p will always be along the tangent to the trajectory at p, right? So these are some simple observations, right? Now, look, do you see that the velocity is decreasing with time? As t increases, vy decreases. That means you would expect at some instant of time the velocity to have become 0. Vertical velocity would become 0 at some instant of time. The vertical velocity would have become 0 at some instant of time. So vy is 0 at t equal to u sin theta by g. Vy is 0 at t equal to u sin theta by g. Yes or no? So vy becomes 0 at t equal to u sin theta by g. And as I discussed in the previous case, if the vertical velocities become 0, that must be a state of maximum y or maximum height. That must be a state of maximum y or maximum height. Yes or no? And so uy is the initial vertical velocity, vy becomes 0, and this then is y max, the maximum height. This then is y max or maximum height. Right? In the vertical direction, I'll apply this equation. V squared minus u squared is 2as. In the vertical direction, I'll apply v squared minus u squared is 2as. So vy is 0. So I'll say vy squared minus uy squared is 2 into minus g into y max. I'll do this. Vy is 0 at this point, at maximum, and uy is u sin theta, as you can see, is minus 2g into y max. So what is y max? Y max is u squared sin squared theta by 2g. That's a maximum height. Which is what? Which is initial vertical velocity squared by 2g. Initial vertical velocity squared by 2g is the maximum height reached by the particle. Right? And it takes a time equal to u sine theta by g. U sine theta is what? Initial vertical velocity by g. Initial vertical velocity by g is the time taken to reach the maximum height. Did you all understand this? No issues with this? Now, again, realize that the displacement in the y direction as a function of time. The particle is at p x comma y at an instant of time t. This would be y, right? The displacement in the y direction as a function of time would be what? Y would be initial vertical velocity into t plus half of ay into t squared. That will give me the displacement in the y direction as a function of time. Initial vertical velocity in the y direction plus half of ay into t squared. Nahi kya? Clear, no? So, what is uy? Uy is u sine theta plus half of ay, which is minus g into t squared. That's the y as a function of time, right? This so again, do you realize that y, see, after reaching the maximum height, the particle will fall back on the horizontal plane, on the same horizontal plane. That means y will become 0 one more time. So there are two instants of time when y becomes 0. Y is 0 at the initial instant and at some later instant. So if you plug in y equal to 0, you will get two values of time. One would be t equal to this instant, one would be t equal to this instant. Yes or no? So if I plug in y equal to 0, then on solving this, I get t equal to 0 or t equal to 2u sine theta by g. Yes or no? This must be t equal to 0 and this instant must be t equal to 2u sine theta by g. That means the difference between these two instants must be the total time taken to go from O to, say, A, from O to A. So time taken to go from O to A is called capital T, the total time of flight. Total time of flight. This is the total time of flight. Time taken to come back to the same horizontal level. Time taken to come back to the same horizontal level is the total time of flight. Which is 2u sine theta by g, which is twice the initial vertical velocity uy by g, which is twice the initial vertical velocity by g. Isn't it? And in this time, the particle would have undergone a displacement OA in the horizontal sense. And what causes displacement in the horizontal direction? The velocity in the x direction. U cos theta acting for capital T seconds causes the displacement OA. What causes the displacement OA? From O to A, what's the displacement in the x direction? OA. And what causes OA? OA is the baby of U cos theta acting for capital T seconds. OA is caused by U cos theta acting for capital T seconds. Yes or no? So this OA is U cos theta acting for capital T seconds, which is U cos theta into capital T, which is 2u sine theta by g, which is u squared sine 2 theta by g. Why? Because 2 sine theta cos theta is sine 2 theta, And this OA is also called the range of this motion. It's called the range of this motion. Maximum displacement in the same horizontal plane is called the range of this motion. Did you understand this? OA is referred to as R, the range of this motion. OA is referred to as R, the range of this motion. Clear? Hmm? Capital T is the total time of flight, which is twice the initial vertical velocity by g. H max, the maximum height reached, would be uy squared by 2g, where uy is the initial vertical velocity. Total time of flight is twice the initial velocity by g. Initial vertical velocity by g. The range is going to be u squared sine 2 theta by g is going to be the range. Now, this kind of a motion, you know, is essentially called projectile motion. It's called projectile motion. This motion that I've just discussed under gravity is called projectile motion. And there are a lot of assumptions made while we are describing this motion. A lot of assumptions made. One assumption that we made is that in the horizontal direction or in any other direction, there is no air resistance. We have assumed that there is no air resistance. That's quite an ideal situation. That's quite an ideal situation. That never happens, right? But then sometimes what happens is that the air resistance is negligible, and we can, for the sake of calculations, assume it to be 0. So one, we have neglected air resistance. In doing all these calculations, we have neglected air resistance. Two, what we've assumed is that we are not launching a missile. If we had launched a missile, then what would happen is g will vary. G will vary. G will not be a constant. Then the motion in the vertical direction will not be a case of constant acceleration. G will vary. So we've assumed that maximum height reached is much smaller compared to the radius of the earth. Maximum height reached is much smaller compared to the radius of the earth, so that g remains constant. Now, there is a path that this projectile undertakes, and therefore there is an equation of this trajectory, which is the locus of the path, which is the equation of the locus. What would I need to do? I need to connect the x and y coordinates of this motion. I need to connect x and y coordinates true for all points on the trajectory. That will be the equation of the locus. How would I do this? Look. What's the x coordinate t seconds later? What causes x? U cos theta. Acting for how long? For t seconds. When the particle reaches p, what's the displacement in the x direction? X. Right? Which is caused by what? U cos theta acting for t seconds. What causes displacement in the y direction? U sin theta minus half gt squared. Yes or no? This is an equation that I wrote earlier. Displacement in the y direction t seconds later is given by this initial vertical ut minus half ay into t squared, right? Now if I eliminate t, I'll be able to connect x and y. If I eliminate t, I'll be able to connect x and y, which will give me the equation of this path, So from equation 1, I get t equal to x by u cos theta, which I can plug into equation 2. So y equal to u sin theta into t, which is x by u cos theta, minus half g into t squared, which is x squared by u squared cos squared theta, which gives me y equal to sin theta by cos theta, tan theta, x tan theta, minus gx squared by 2u squared cos squared theta, y equal to x tan theta minus gx squared by 2u squared cos squared theta. This is the relationship connecting the x and y coordinates of any point on this trajectory. And this is called the equation of the locus, equation of the path, equation of the trajectory. And We will learn down the line in coordinate geometry that this represents a parabola. Y equal to a quadratic in x, y equal to a quadratic in x represents a parabola, which is what we'll learn later in coordinate geometry. Now, a few more very direct observations. Realize that this was a projectile launched with a velocity u at an angle theta. Right? This was a projectile launched with a velocity u at an angle theta. R is u squared sine 2 theta by g. Now suppose I maintain u constant but I vary theta. If I maintain u constant but I vary theta, then the range will be a function of theta. Then the range will be a function of theta. U squared sine 2 theta by g. And r theta would be maximum when sine 2 theta is 1. Because the maximum value of sine 2 theta is 1. That's when the range is going to be a maximum. When sine 2 theta is 1 means theta must be 45 degrees. Theta must be 45 degrees. That means for a given u, under ideal conditions, if you launch at 45 degrees, then the range attained by the particle will be a maximum. Yes or no? Also, range at theta is u squared sine 2 theta by g. Range at 90 minus theta. That means if you launch, instead of theta, if you launch at 90 minus theta, this is going to be u squared sine 2, replace theta by 90 minus theta. Replace theta by 90 minus theta, you get the range at 90 minus theta, which is u squared sine pi minus 2 theta by g. But sine pi minus theta is sine theta, right? So this is u squared sine 2 theta by g, which is the same as range for theta. That means whether you are launching at 90 minus theta or you are launching at theta, you get the same range if you are maintaining u constant. If you are maintaining u constant, then launching at theta and launching at 90 minus theta, you get the same range. And realize that if alpha is theta and beta is 90 minus theta, that means launching at alpha and beta will give you the same range, right? But alpha plus beta are complementary angles. Alpha and beta are complementary angles. Yes or no? That means if you launch at 30 degrees and you launch at 60 degrees, you will get the same range. You launch at 15 degrees and you launch at 75 degrees, you will get the same range. You launch at 53 degrees and 37 degrees, you will get the same range. So if you launch at two complementary angles for a given u, you get the same range of the projectile. Yes or no? Not only that, can I wipe this off? Y equal to, the equation of the trajectory as it turns out is x tan theta minus gx squared by 2u squared cos squared theta. Right? That's the equation of the trajectory. X and y coordinates of any point on the trajectory must satisfy this condition. That's the algebraic relationship, right? Now what I do is I take x tan theta common from this. Okay? Then I end up getting 1 minus gx by 2u squared cos squared theta into tan theta is what I get out of this. If I took x tan theta common, you know? Now, this tan theta I can write as sin theta by cos theta, right now? By cos theta, so this cos theta gets cancelled, right now? And what is 2 sin theta cos theta? sine 2 theta. So this will become u squared sine 2 theta, right? So I end up getting y equal to x tan theta into 1 minus x divided by u squared sine 2 theta by g. This g I brought in the denominator here. But what is u squared sine 2 theta by g? Range of the motion. So this is y equal to x tan theta into 1 minus x by r. That's another way to express the equation of the trajectory. That's another way to express the equation of the trajectory.